Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really getting into something that feels like it's shifted massively for academics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that whole digital presence thing. You used to feel maybe optional, like a nice to have.
Right.
But now, maybe it's essential. I mean, people see social media, maybe think it's just noise or, self-promotion.
Yeah, potential time sink even.
Exactly. But what if it's actually the biggest way to get your scholarship noticed now?
Mm.
Often misunderstood, though.
That's exactly what we're going to dig into. The mission for this deep dive is, well, let's get past the basics.
Okay.
Let's pull out some real strategies, actionable things for academics using social media, make sure that great work gets real meaningful impact.
Where are we pulling this from?
We've looked at a really thorough guide about using social media specifically for academic promotion, and honestly, a lot of it clicks with what you see from successful accounts like Academic Practices on Instagram.
Yeah, that's a great resource. I've seen that one.
Definitely worth a follow for those sort of day-to-day tips.
So it's not just about, having a profile anymore, is it?
No, not at all.
We're talking about properly changing how research gets shared strategically.
Mm-hmm.
What's at stake if academics kind of ignore this shift?
Well, that's the interesting part. The stakes feel higher now. It's not just about the old school citations anymore.
Right.
We're seeing this big rise in what they call altmetrics.
Altmetrics. Okay. What's that exactly?
Basically, alternative ways to measure impact. Think broader societal impact, like mentions in the news or your work showing up in policy documents. And your digital presence, it directly feeds into that. It pushes your research reach way beyond the usual journals, lets you connect with, well, all sorts of people, other scholars, sure, but also journalists, maybe even policymakers.
Okay, so it's much bigger than just shouting into the void. It's network building, collaboration, maybe even policy influence.
Precisely.
But gosh, there are so many platforms. Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram. Where do you even start? How do you pick where to put your energy?
That's a really critical point. Strategic choices.
Yeah.
Because they don't all do the same thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Twitter or X now, that's great for the quick back and forth, the real-time discussion. Those Spaces things can be good for live Q&As.
Okay.
LinkedIn, that leans more professional, good for announcements, maybe longer thought pieces using their articles feature.
Right.
And definitely link up things like your OR Citee profile. Keep that citation tracking consistent.
That makes sense. And you mentioned Instagram earlier. What about the visual side?
Mm.
Seems like a lot more researchers are using images and video now.
Absolutely. Instagram, YouTube, they're becoming really vital for kind of visual storytelling. Engaging the public.
Especially for complex stuff, maybe, like data or lab work.
Exactly. Think outside the box,
Right.
A quick, 60-second video abstract on Instagram or breaking down your paper into a thread on Twitter, the tutorial.
Tweetorial, yeah, I've seen those.
Sometimes that stuff gets way more traction than just dropping a link. The key is tailor it. Match the platform's vibe, its audience, but, keep your overall scholarly identity consistent.
Makes total sense. So you've picked your platforms, you're tailoring your message.
Yeah.
How do you make sure it actually gets seen? Amplify it effectively.
Making it count. It's about reach and engagement. Mix up your hashtags, some super specific to your field, some broader academic ones.
Okay.
And collaborate. Share colleagues' work, maybe create something together, host a joint webinar or something.
Yeah, build that community.
And then, this is crucial, track how it's doing. Don't just look at likes. Dig into the actual analytics each platform gives you. See what types of posts work, where people are coming from.
So data-driven posting, almost.
Kind of. The aim is to shift from just being visible to being actively recognized, making real connections.
Okay. But as your profile gets bigger online, I imagine the whole ethics side becomes really important. How do you stay open, but also, maintain that academic rigor?
Yep.
Especially out in public.
That's such an important conversation. Yeah. Academic integrity online means being transparent, always giving credit where it's due. That's basic.
Sure.
But it's also managing that online persona.
Right.
What happens when you get into, say, a difficult debate online? How do you respond professionally if someone misinterprets your work or attacks it unfairly?
Tricky balance.
It is. You need to protect your integrity, your academic freedom, but still engage constructively. It's about building a professional reputation you can actually stand by, even when things get messy online.
Right. So let's try and recap a bit. Social media, when we talk about it for academics, it's way beyond just promotion now.
Mm-hmm.
It's about visibility, yes, but also real engagement, maybe even showing leadership in your field. And if you use it smartly, ethically, it's actually a huge help for your career and getting research seen.
Absolutely. It's a powerful ally, used right. Which brings us to a final thought, maybe, for you listening.
Yeah.
Given how much power there is in connection, in recognition that social media offers, how are you going to make sure your digital presence isn't just, there, but actually impactful, and that it truly reflects the integrity of your scholarship?
That's a great question to ponder. Really something to think about. Okay, that's all we have time for on this deep dive. Until next time, stay curious, stay credible, and keep your scholarship moving.